What is good, my people? This is Kobe2408. There is some pretty big changes coming to patch 8.4 that Medler has mentioned in this forum post. But before I get into this video, make sure you follow me on twitch.tv/KobeSandu. Link in the description below. I'm only streaming on Twitch. I'm going to say this in every video until I get everybody to follow me on Twitch. So again, link in the description below. Follow me there. Only streaming there. So first up, we have Zoe. Now, Zoe is receiving some pretty big nerfs. However, her Q damage is the same. That's not getting nerfed. Her Drowsy is getting nerfed. Her Q, like the AoE, is getting nerfed, as well as the W. There's something going on with the W that I'm not particularly understanding here, but because I haven't really played Zoe since she came out. But I'll just go ahead and read this off very quickly. So she's going to receive these changes in 8.4 for sure. So on her Q, only applies her passive damage on primary targets hit. That reduces her wave clear, particularly ability to kill caster minions with 1 Q, reducing her power from gold and ability to shove roam as easily. It also makes it harder for her to harass through a wave and makes it easier for allies to block Qs intended for sleeping allies. So Q is just, again, hurting her wave clear. So she can't just, like, you know, wave clear very quickly and then start roaming around. So that's what's going on with her Q. So W is no longer able to drop teleport. That's when you get like a summoner spell from one of the minions. That's what's going on with her W. Don't need to read any more into that really. So Drowsy can now be cleansed, which I thought it could be cleansed already when you're sleeping, but I guess not. Now they're adding this effect to cleanse. So preventing the sleep from happening. That makes cleanse QSS Mikael's noticeable better responses to her, which I thought all worked on her. Once you're sleeping, I thought you could cleanse it, QSS it, or Mikael's it, but I guess not. So that's what's going on with Drowsy. So that's how they're gonna allow you to make outplays. Either you cleanse the slow or you cleanse the actual sleep effect. So that's what's going on with her E. Also, the cooldown is being increased, giving more windows where she can't threaten lethal as well as, or it can be engaged on. So this part needed to happen a while ago, but finally they're doing it. I think this is the biggest part. Basically her Drowsy is like the hardest part to counter with her kit because it's up so often. So it needed a really big cooldown increase. Like, you can't just keep spamming these sleep effects that gives you a 2-second stun and you could just blow somebody up within that window, which is ridiculous. So that's what's going on with her E, her Drowsy. And then we have R, which is having a bug fix to it, but one that's potentially power impacting, was granting the ability to move through units from the entire game after the first cast, rather than just for a very brief period when she returned to the cast point. So I'm not really sure what exactly that bug fix is because I don't think I've seen it. Maybe I have. So when she returns back to where she casts her teleport, she can move through units. I'm not, you know, not really sure if this, according to them, it's a potentially power impacting one. So I'm gonna leave it up to them that they know what they're doing on that. So that's what's going on with Zoe. Again, they said, as you've probably noticed, there's no nerf to her Q damage. Like I said at the beginning, no nerf to her Q damage. It's still up there. It's still very high, but I think E is going to be a pretty good nerf to her. So her E, again, is her Drowsy. So that's pretty good. Some of the summoner spell cooldowns on the scoreboard. If you haven't noticed the new scoreboard on the PvE, it's really hard to see the summoner spells. So they're just going to, I think, swap them around or do something with that. I'll have a screenshot of it here so you can take a look. It's kind of, I don't know, with all the new like keystones and the secondary runes that they're showing on the scoreboard, it's really hard to see like the summoner spells. So they're going to do something with it eventually. I guess in 8.4 here. We'll see how that works out. So one of the biggest news on this forum post is a keystone that's being developed for bruisers. They didn't really say who's it for, but they, you know, they're hinting that it's for bruisers. So we're still working on that new keystone for the resolve tree. So it's going to be in the resolve tree instead of the precision tree. Some aspects of it are still in flux. One thing that's looking promising, though, also not yet guaranteed, is having some of its reward be some dual percent penetration, both percent armor penetration and some percent magic penetration. So there you go. It's going to have dueling. You're going to be able to duel with this keystone, so it's going to help, again, bruisers. However, they're a little hesitant to put it out there just because they don't want ranged champions abusing this, where it has dual percentage penetration. I don't know what is going on. They just need something that can kind of scale with bruisers. You know, I don't have an answer for that, but they're coming up with an answer. I know a lot of people on Reddit have pretty good answers on what a bruiser keystone should be like. Something that scales, I'm not really sure, because ranged champions are going to be able to abuse something that scales, and that's exactly what they mentioned down here. They say one challenge that goes with that is then ensuring that Keystone's best users aren't exclusively ranged champions, getting another percent scaler on already high offensive builds, or champs building full tanks looking to multiply their base damages. So they did have a keystone before where, like, if you did constant damage, it would constantly give you AD or AP depending on, it was adaptive. So they took that keystone out because tanks were obviously abusing that, because they could just stay in a fight for, like, you know, 5 minutes or whatever and not die, and just constantly get like 1,000 AD from just hitting one champion constantly. So they removed that keystone, and they're thinking about this keystone where it's a dual percent penetration, where it has armor penetration and some magic penetration. So it appeals to, like, I would say, like, the first person that comes to mind is like Jax. Jax would do so well with this. A percent armor penetration, magic penetration. Not only that, I think Corki could abuse this. That would be pretty insane. So those are the two champions that come to mind. I mean, I know a lot of Camille, Fiora, all those champions. Camille and Fiora, I think, are in pretty good spot. But there's other bruisers that are lacking, like Renekton. Who else is there? I can't even think of any other champions off the top of my head. But I know there's a lot more bruiser champions that are suffering right now. But that's what they were thinking about making for a bruiser keystone, and it's going to be in the resolve tree. Just remember that. Okay. So next up, my favorite part of this form is Lissandra. They actually might be thinking about reworking her, especially her passive, which they tried before last season, but it was way too overpowered. It was a scaling passive where, like, if you auto attack, you get more AP, so your spells do more damage. It was a very weird passive. Anyways, they know she's too weak, and her passive's not interesting at all. Her passive currently is, after like 15 seconds, you get a free spell. Like, that's like Mana Flow Band or something, whatever. Anyways, so they'll be taking a look at her in patch 8.6, which is really late in the season. So that's like mid-season. Or that should be like, what, in 2 months or something? I don't know. I really wish it would a little bit earlier. I wish it was like 8.5, but that's what they're thinking. It might even come later, but I can't wait for Lissandra because she's one of my favorite champions to play, and she's just way too weak right now. And then after this week, next week, they're going to look at marksman play patterns and thoughts on what's healthy and unhealthy. So a lot of the champions that are suffering at ADC. And then they'll look at mastery curves, and that's really it. So, you know, pretty big news. Can't wait. I'm pretty happy about the new keystone that could be potentially coming, and then as well as Lissandra. But they're lacking on this keystone. It should have came out at the beginning of this year, but, you know, can't have everything all at once. But as always, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. I'm Kobe24. Thank you for watching. And you guys stay awesome, my friends, and I'm out. Peace.